Let's go next to our wild card line. You're on Coast to Coast. Welcome to the show. Hi there.
Hi.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello? Go ahead.
Hello, this is Melanie from San Diego.
Go ahead, Melanie.
Hi. My first question is about the calendar itself. I was in Cabo San Lucas for a transformational breathwork seminar, and a gal there had the calendar, and she put my birth date into it, and it was in Spanish, so I could not, and she could not translate it, but she said my birth date came up saying bridge between worlds, and I was wondering, what does that mean?
Well, I'm not sure, and you also might be referring to the Dream Spell System by Jose Arguelles.
I don't know. She just had this.
Because there's a couple of systems, and that one sounds like that's Dream Spell by Jose Arguelles, which is a very interesting system, but it's not the same as the original calendar. You're going to have to get more information on your own. You're going to have to find out more about exactly what. You can look up your own day sign and stuff like that. There are different systems for doing that. My book, The Mayan Code, has an appendix with a system for doing that. So you're just going to have to look up your birth date and all that and figure it out.
Let's go east of the Rockies. Hi there.
Hey, how you guys doing this morning? I'm calling from Indianapolis.
Sure thing.
You talked earlier, Barbara, about 2008 being a bad year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just curious to see what maybe a couple predictions you have as why you think it's going to be bad.
Well, first of all, you should really be taking the whole housing crisis and liquidity crisis seriously. In other words, whatever you can do to get rid of debt and stuff like that and to be as free as possible is a really, really good idea. And then the other thing that is probably going to happen is a lot of stress in society, just basic, bottom-level stress, more homeless people, more issues with issues with crime and stuff like that. And it's just the kind of year where you really got to be strong and you've got to be prepared to take care of yourself. What else would you like to ask?
Will it be a good year, Barbara, overall for people?
Well, the interesting thing is what I'm finding with it personally is if you're a strong person and you've already done a lot of work on yourself, I'm actually finding it to be a very, very beautiful experience. It's already started, by the way. According to the calendar, it actually started in mid-November. And if you I'm old enough to have known people who went through the Depression, and when I was a little girl, they used to talk to me about the Depression. And to a person, they would always talk about how close people were and how families got back together and how friends helped each other. And they got rid of a lot of the alienation they'd been experiencing before that happened. So going through difficult times is not necessarily a totally negative thing.
No, that's true, but
it brings out strength in us too,
Well, with the old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Well, but also I'm finding that people are helping people. I'm seeing this especially where I live in Canada. People are reaching out,
I'm seeing people, though, spaced out, zoned out.
Yes.
So what's causing that?
Basically, legal drugs. I mean, really, the number of people who are on one drug or two or three, I've noticed for about the last 10 or 15 years that people are very spaced out.
Are you a chemtrail believer that they're dumping stuff on us?
I noticed that a couple of years ago, and I haven't been noticing as much. About 5-10 years ago, I could see them all the time.
No, they're everywhere. They're like tic-tac-toe boards up there.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Well, first of all, I'm up in Canada at this point, and I used to live in the States, and that's when I used to see it. But I guess you're still having them down there like crazy. We're not seeing them up here. Yeah.
All right, Barbara, stick around. We're going to come right back with final phone calls. I'm George Norrie. We will be right back on Coast to Coast AM. I'm going to take 2 vacation days, Thursday, Friday. John Wells filling in on Thursday, Ian Punnett on Friday. Then I'll be back with you with that live Christmas Eve program right here on Coast to Coast AM. Hey, Barbara, what's the favorite aspect of your book, The Mayan Code? What do you like the best there?
Well, after going through all of the code and the systems and all that, and you can tell it's fairly detailed work, Chapter 8 is called Christ and the Cosmos. And I finally was able to get into the issue of some of the ways that human evolution might actually be functioning. And the most fascinating part of that was to get into the issue of soul involution and how angelic levels of consciousness come into the human evolutionary pattern. In other words, the idea would be that like angels would actually come into human form in order to move us along, so to speak. And the reason I'm so fascinated with that is the issue of the indigo children. And you've probably heard about this. The whole issue, the idea that for about the last 15 or 20 years that the children are really different. Now, in my case, I'm the mother of 4, and so I've watched kids grow up for a long, long time, and I can tell you for sure that the kids are different at this point. There's just something going on with those kids. And so when I get down and out and feel like we're not going to make it, I just check out the kids. And the kids are just of such a high spiritual consciousness. And another thing going on with those kids is it's very hard for the parents. I've noticed the parents are having a really hard time raising them because they're so unusual. But I really feel like the kids are a sign of where we're probably going.
Okay, let's go to the final calls now. We'll pick it up, first of all, by going to our international line. Welcome to Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Hey, George. Hey, Barbara.
Hi.
Hi, this is Gerald calling. I'd like to get a better sense of what you see daily life being like in 2013. So, will we still be using money? Will consumerism still be driving the economy? Will education be the same? Or will it be something more like you talked about, angelic structures moving in? Will that shift things very dramatically?
Yeah, it's a very, very hard thing to answer, as you can imagine. And the closest I can come to it is that, as you probably know from physics and science, basically, we are beings of, what we really are is we're frequency receptors. Like our brains are frequency receptors and our bodies are frequency receptors. And what has happened to us, as far as I can tell, because of the cataclysm 11,500 years ago, is we have separated ourselves out from the flow of the frequencies in nature itself. In other words, we've gone into like a process of being separated and kind of divided. And I think as we move into 2011, 2012, I think what's going to happen is we are going to start to flow with the frequencies again. And then regarding whether we are going to have cars and money and buildings and all that kind of stuff, certainly for a long, long time we're going to have things like that because we're going to go through periods of transformation. I don't think things are just going to melt, if you know what I mean. But I do think that the best word for what's going to happen would be that we're going to start dematerializing. We're going to start not having as much stuff and as much junk, and we're going to start, we're not going to use as much energy. And that's about the best answer I can give because the level of change that's coming is so extreme that it's really hard to imagine it from our point of view at this time.
Will this be a world of the haves and the have-nots?
I think that's going to change too, George. I think we're just living with a whole bunch of stuff that's very, very old, that's coming from a lot of old conflicts, and I think it's going to change.
Let's go west of the Rockies. You're up with us on Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Yeah, hi. My name is Wolf. I'm calling from Phoenix. And
Hi, Wolf.
Yes, that is my name.
Okay.
I'd like to make a couple of quick comments, if I may, and then I have a question.
Wolf. Okay.
Well, first of all, I'm a follower of the ancient tradition. You might call it the old religion. I can tell you, Barbara, that the divine feminine is not only back. She's known as the white goddess in Western Europe, but she's also the white buffalo cow woman. If you know her, you'll understand by that basically... if you know her, you recognize her in her incarnations. I'd like to mention here, you're talking about the spiral. If you look at the spiral markings on the New Grange mounds, which are basically an Irish pyramid, based for operating in the same principle as the Egyptian pyramid, you will see that the spirals don't just spiral around until they reach a center. At the center, they turn back upon themselves, go from clockwise to counterclockwise and kind of unwind themselves and then move into another cycle, another spiral. So as things are speeding up towards 2012 and the way you've described, as the frequencies shorten, they should begin to unwind according to the ancients' understanding.
Yeah, and I think that's more like that unwinding starts in 2011, 2012. And I tried to work with that on a more scientific level in alchemy